What if I told you there's a single truth that can end the manipulator's grip over your mind? Not next week, not after therapy, but right now? Imagine this. You walk into a conversation confident, calm, and within minutes, doubt floods your chest. Their words sound harmless, but twist like knives. You start questioning your memory, your sanity, your worth. You ask yourself, am I overreacting? You're not. What you're experiencing is not confusion. It's control disguised as care. Every manipulator's goal is simple: make you question your perception until you surrender your strength. But today, that ends. Because once you see through illusion, their power dies in an instant. Truth breaks manipulation faster than any argument. And that truth begins with awareness, the moment you decide to see instead of please. A manipulator doesn't crave your love, they crave your submission. Their power isn't in strength, it's in confusion. They twist meaning, deny reality, and make you chase clarity like a mirage. Every conversation becomes a battlefield where your honesty is used against you. Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus warned, when you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself, not because you are to blame, but because your reaction is the only thing they can weaponize. Their goal is simple: provoke emotion, watch you defend yourself, and feed on the chaos that follows. The moment you explain, they win. The moment you justify, they gain ground. But when you go silent, when you no longer need to convince, the entire empire of deceit begins to crumble. Because manipulation needs participation. And when you stop playing, the game collapses under its own emptiness. They look powerful, but it's all theater. Behind every manipulator's confidence hides a frightened child, terrified of insignificance. They wear arrogance like armor because without admiration, they disintegrate. Stoicism teaches us, the one who needs others to validate him is a slave to opinion. Narcissists are that slave. They chase control because they cannot control themselves. They crave validation because they have no self-respect. And they create confusion because truth would destroy the illusion they live in. They are not drawn to weak people. They're drawn to the strong, the kind, the steady, because that's the fuel they lack. Your empathy becomes their mirror. Your forgiveness becomes their shield. But once you see their performance for what it is, a desperate act of self-preservation, your anger fades and power returns. Because when you stop believing the illusion, you stop being their supply. Understand this clearly. A manipulator's food is your reaction. Every sigh, every tear, every desperate explanation. It's energy they harvest. The moment you raise your voice, they know they still own a piece of your mind. That's why the Stoics practiced apatheia, not coldness, but self-command. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." They provoke because they need chaos to stay relevant. Without your emotion, they fade. Without your response, they wither. The best revenge is not fury, but indifference, because silence is a mirror they cannot stand to face. When you no longer react, they're forced to meet the emptiness they've always been running from. The day you stop feeding them is the day you starve their illusion. Every manipulator runs on 3 toxic drives: the desire to control you, the hunger to be admired, and the obsession with chaos. Control gives them power, validation gives them identity, and chaos keeps you too dizzy to notice what's happening. It's a psychological loop, and they've practiced it their entire lives. Stoicism teaches that true power lies in self-mastery, not domination. Seneca wrote, "He who conquers himself is mightier than he who conquers an empire." The manipulator never learned that. They can't sit alone with their thoughts, so they must own yours. But when you see these 3 drives clearly, you reclaim your sovereignty, because awareness is the first cut that severs control. When you can name their tactics, you stop absorbing their poison, and slowly, they begin to lose their favorite illusion, that you still need them to tell you who you are. Confusion is their most sophisticated weapon. They blur truth and twist logic until you start questioning your own reality. One day you're sure of what happened. The next, you're apologizing for even remembering it. That's not love. That's psychological warfare. Stoic philosophy warns against this mental fog. Epictetus said, "It's not the things themselves, but our judgments about them that disturb us." The manipulator wants to rewrite your judgments so that you see their chaos as your fault. But the moment you pause, breathe, and question instead of react, the spell breaks. Their words lose gravity. Their emotional traps lose their pull. Because confusion only thrives when you rush to defend yourself. The slower you become, the clearer you see, and clarity is their enemy. Once you see the pattern, you stop being the pawn. You become the observer, and the observer can never be controlled. Awareness is the first taste of freedom. It's that silent click in your mind when the fog lifts and you finally see the pattern. You realize the problem was never your sensitivity. It was their strategy. They made you doubt your own perception so they could own your reaction. But once you see the strings, you stop being the puppet. The Stoics called this prosochi, the practice of paying sharp attention to your own mind. Awareness doesn't shout, it simply sees. It's the moment you catch yourself before defending. The second you notice their bait and refuse to bite. From that instant, the power dynamic reverses. They sense your composure and panic, because calmness exposes what chaos tries to hide. When you can look into manipulation without fear or fury, and you hold something they never will, mastery. Think of every manipulator as an actor performing a play, a loud, dramatic show where they are always the hero or the victim, but never the cause. They thrive as long as you stay in the audience, reacting to every scene. But the moment you step backstage, you see the wires, the script, the lighting, and the illusion dies. That's what Stoic seeing really is. The ability to stand outside the performance and recognize the game. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily. Observe how transient and worthless human dramas are. When you truly see the script, their words lose sting. You realize their insults are rehearsed. Their apologies are bait. Their promises are strategy. And in that revelation, something profound happens. Their control dissolves. You stop needing closure. You stop needing to win. You simply walk out of the theater, leaving them performing to an empty room. A manipulator's strength ends where your composure begins. They push, provoke, and test to see if you still dance to their rhythm. But every time you remain calm, you teach them something terrifying, that their control is gone. The Stoics taught that no insult, no lie, no trick can truly harm you unless you choose to let it in. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't be." That's not denial, it's command. When you refuse to internalize their chaos, you strip them of leverage. They throw words like daggers, hoping one will stick. But when you remain unshaken, they end up stabbing the air. Your stillness becomes their mirror, forcing them to confront their own instability. Emotional mastery isn't weakness. It's warfare conducted in silence. The calm mind is the most dangerous weapon in a world addicted to reaction. The narcissist's greatest weakness is your indifference. They cannot survive where they cannot provoke. They thrive on emotional electricity. Your anger, your explanations, your pain. But when you cut the current, they short circuit. That's the essence of Stoic detachment, not withdrawal, but command. You decide when to engage and when to walk away. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Detachment is bravery in its purest form. It's standing in the storm and realizing the wind can't move you unless you allow it. When you stop chasing validation or defending your truth, their entire system collapses. You don't fight for peace, you become peace. You no longer explain. You no longer prove. You simply refuse to hand them access to your emotional world. That's when they fear you, because calmness is the one language chaos can't manipulate. There's a moment when words no longer heal. They only repeat the cycle. That's when you need the line that breaks it. "I'm not available for this conversation." 6 simple words that end the performance instantly. They sound calm, harmless, yet they terrify every manipulator who hears them. Why? Because it signals the end of their control. No defense, no apology, no emotional crack to crawl through. Just a boundary made of stone. You don't need to scream or explain. You just deliver it and step back. Every time you use it, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Narcissists feed on engagement. This sentence starves them. It ends the illusion that they still own your attention. It's more than a phrase. It's a declaration of sovereignty. You are saying, without anger, you no longer have access to my peace. This single line dismantles years of manipulation because it removes their oxygen, your reaction. When you say, "I'm not available for this conversation," you signal something profound. You no longer serve as their emotional battery. They'll try everything, mocking it, guilt-tripping, pretending to cry because panic always follows loss of control. But stay firm. Every time you repeat the line, you reinforce the wall that separates your peace from their chaos. Seneca wrote, "The greatest empire is to rule over oneself." This is that empire in action. You are no longer defending. You are deciding, You're not resisting their storm, you're stepping out of it. Manipulators can't fight silence. It's the one battle they can never win. Because silence reveals what they fear most, their own emptiness. After you draw your boundary, expect resistance. They'll test you, push harder, and twist kindness into guilt. They'll accuse you of being heartless or cold, but that's just their panic speaking. Narcissists cannot comprehend peace that doesn't revolve around them. Stand firm. Repeat the line with calm certainty. No explanations. No tone shift, just stillness. Every repetition is a declaration. You are no longer accessible to chaos. Remember, discipline in emotion is the highest form of strength. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, stand firm like a rock against which the waves break, and the raging sea falls still around it. You are that rock now. They may scream, manipulate, or disappear. Let them. Your only task is to remain unmoved. Because true power is not loud. It's consistency under pressure. When you stop reacting, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to return home to itself, the noise fades, and you start hearing your own thoughts again. That is the rebirth of self-trust. The manipulator once trained you to second-guess everything. But now you realize you don't need permission to think clearly. You don't need validation to feel peace. Stoicism calls this autarkeia, self-sufficiency of the soul. It's the ability to stand complete within yourself. When you no longer depend on approval, you become untouchable. The more they try to pull you back, the more obvious their desperation becomes. Your calm presence exposes their chaos, and they cannot tolerate the reflection in silence. You are not retreating. You are reclaiming the throne of your own mind. And once you sit there again, no one can dethrone you. Freedom is not found in escaping people. It's built through mastering your inner walls. Every Stoic knew this. The fortress is the mind. You don't need high defenses made of anger or coldness. You need discipline, awareness, and emotional control. Imagine each act of restraint as laying a brick. Every time you refuse to react, you strengthen the structure. Every time you walk away from chaos, you reinforce your gates. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't comfort, it's control over your impulses. The manipulator loses power the moment you stop trading your peace for their approval. So, build slowly, patiently. Let silence be your moat, awareness your walls, and self-respect your throne. The stronger your fortress, the fewer battles you'll ever have to fight. When you stop reacting, they will panic. They'll call you distant, unfeeling, cruel, because to them, calmness is rebellion. But that's the beauty of Stoic strength. Your peace becomes their punishment. They expect chaos and find silence. They expect guilt and find presence. Narcissists can fight noise, but they can't fight neutrality. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best answer to anger is silence." This isn't passive, it's surgical. Your silence disarms, exposes, and drains their energy. Each time you stay centered, their mask slips further, because nothing terrifies a manipulator more than someone who no longer reacts. Remember, they need chaos to stay alive, but you need calm to stay free. So, stay still, speak little, observe much. Their storm will rage, but your serenity will outlast it. You don't need revenge. You don't need to expose them or make them see what they've done. That's still giving them space in your mind. The Stoics taught, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Let them play their games. You no longer attend the theater. Walking away without hatred is the highest form of power because it means they no longer define your story. You're not leaving from anger. You're leaving from awareness. You finally understand that their approval was never love. Their chaos was never passion, and their control was never care. You release them not because they deserve peace, but because you do. True strength is quiet departure, steady breath, and an unshaken heart. You don't slam the door, you simply close it, knowing you'll never walk back through it again. Freedom doesn't begin when they change. It begins when you stop needing them to. The sentence "I'm not available for this conversation" is more than defense. It's rebirth. It's a vow to protect your peace, to stop participating in pain that disguises itself as love. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not cruel, you're conscious. The Stoics believed that liberation comes from mastering response, and you have now mastered yours. From this moment forward, you are untouchable, not because the world is soft, but because your mind is strong. Remember this truth: no one can take your calm without your consent. So speak the line, walk away, and never explain your peace again. Let your silence teach them what your words never could. that the era of control is over, and the age of self-command has begun. If this message reached you, it means something inside you is ready to rise, ready to stop living at the mercy of manipulation, and start mastering your own mind. Remember, no one can steal your peace unless you hand it to them. The true Stoic path isn't about fighting others, it's about conquering yourself. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, calm over chaos, silence over struggle, you are building the unshakable self the world cannot break. So, take what you've learned today and apply it. Start small. Use the sentence, guard your peace. Build your inner fortress one quiet act of strength at a time. And when you do, you'll notice freedom doesn't come from control. It comes from clarity. If this video helped you see yourself or your situation differently, share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story, your strength, your awakening. And if you believe someone else needs to hear this message today, share it gently. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join this growing community of calm warriors. Thank you for listening. This is Stoic Psychology, where the journey to self-command never ends.